Uncanny Avengers number 8 picks up where the previous issue left off. The Apocalypse twins, Uriel and Eamon, just destroyed a Celestial and the debris is entering Earth's atmosphere. Thor, with some help from Sunfire, are able to destroy the incoming wreckage and prevent the destruction of Rio de Janeiro. The two then head up to Apocalypse's ship. Uriel initially asked the two to be his horsemen, but the two decline. The twins then show them footage of the crimes X-Force committed against the line of Apocalypse. Wolverine and his kill squad killed Apocalypse as a child and later Archangel. Meanwhile, the escape pod Captain America used to avoid the destruction of the Celestial lands him in Sudan. Behind enemy lines, he does his best to stay alive as mercenaries attempt to kill him. As he realizes someone has sabotaged his capsule, he sees a box that someone left for him. A voice apologizes to him and tells him that the meeting required extreme discretion. We then see the twins at an Apocalypse Akkaba. There, they have followers who were mutants before the Scarlet Witch depowered them on M-Day. The twins tell their followers that they must be sacrificed to further evolution, and thus they destroy the entire complex. At the same time, the rest of the Uncanny Avengers are flying towards the Akkaba. Wolverine knows of the location because of his X-Force affairs. There is quite a bit of distrust on the team, and things seem to be breaking down along human-mutant lines. As their Quinjet approaches the destination, they see the twins flying away. The issue ends with the complex exploding.
So I'm a pretty big fan of these twins of Apocalypse. Iman and Uriel. They seem to be pretty powerful, and they seem to be taking everything in a whole new direction.
Yeah, we saw them be kidnapped by King the Conqueror, but now it seems like they've kind of broken away from him and are doing their own thing. It seems like the most important thing to them is stopping the Red Skull onslaught.
When the Seven become one, the prophecy that the Uncanny Avengers actually saw a few issues ago.
Eamon and Uriel talk about like growing up in the future where there was concentration camps made by Onslaught, so they're pretty intense on stopping him. They kind of have these names for each other.
Yeah, Iman is the Eternal Sleep, and Uriel calls himself the Light of the Cosmos. And there's actually a pretty cool line that he says that seems to be important. He says specifically, "The witch will see the light of the cosmos."
Which is kind of weird because it's like he's referring to himself in the third person, which is kind of a strange thing to do. But they definitely seem to be after the Scarlet Witch. When they first meet their kind of followers, they say, "Oh, you guys are human." And they're like, "Yeah, we're human because Scarlet Witch robbed us of our gifts." And even earlier in the issue, they reference her saying, there are other ways to convince her to aid us, which I assume is the Scarlet Witch. You know, she's like one of the most powerful, not just mutants, but people in the Marvel Universe, so it makes sense they would target her.
And it's not just her that they seem to be targeting. They seem to have grudges with a lot of the Uncanny Avengers. They talk to Shiro because he was a former horseman of the Apocalypse, and he turns them down, which angers them. Thor has a connection to them now because he armed them in a way by giving them the axe Jarlbjorn.
And then obviously we got to bring up Wolverine because, you know, the whole Uncanny X-Force days. How many Apocalypses did they kill? They killed and Eben Sur, who's still a kid, Archangel as well. So, you know, it's fair that they have a grudge against Wolverine because he was kind of a dick there. What I really do like with the whole Uncanny X-Force connection is it really ties Rick Remender's work together. His run was so amazing on Uncanny X-Force, so I kind of like that the story's continuing. It'd be kind of cool to see if like Evan pops up in this or something. We saw a lot of mistrust in this issue where everybody's like, "Man, Wolverine, you got a lot of secrets." And like, he's like going to the back of the plane to talk to Rogue on the side, which seems pretty messed up. Is it devolving into Avengers and X-Men kind of each taking their own sides?
I think, in a way, you can see that happening. Because Janet really seems to have a prejudice saying, "You X-Men and your secrets." She can clearly see that they're trying to keep something just between them. And even last issue, she was the one that sort of pointed out that the X-Men and Avengers sort of have different outlooks on life. The X-Men seem to be kind of pessimistic, while the Avengers have a very optimistic viewpoint on life in general.
Well, what I did like was at the very end of this issue, we saw Uriel, and he had like a great quote where he's saying, "If these guys actually worked together, we wouldn't stand a chance." So it's like, it's all about unity, and how can you make that happen? Havoc obviously seems to be, he's the guy who's like pushing for unity the most.
He had his press conference, but in this issue, I find it kind of funny that when push comes to shove, he's like, "You know, let's just go call Scott. Maybe he could save us."
Which to me seems like one of the worst PR moves you could possibly make. Like, your solution is to go out and, like, hang out with the terrorists? Like,
yeah.
come on.
I'm curious how Captain America plays into this, because I think the Apocalypse twins are really trying to play the two Avengers and X-Men against each other in some way.
Well, after the events of last issue, when he jettisoned from the sword facility and somebody tampered with his escape pod and he landed in Sudan, and he, like, hides in some, you know, basement where it turns out there's this, like, box that's just been waiting for him for years that says, "Push here, Captain America." And I'm thinking maybe it's probably Immortus, because he also left the previous warning about watch out for this onslaught return. So I think he's, you know, just trying to prevent all that.
It could be that, or it could be Kang, who the twins are now seem to be working against, and so maybe he wants the twins to lose because he's against Apocalypse. That's something that was established
Right.
Previously. So maybe he'll work with the Uncanny Avengers marginally.
So as a grade for Uncanny Avengers number 8, what would you give it?
I'd give this a 4 out of 5. Like you mentioned earlier, I really like how Remender is continuing his work on Uncanny X-Force, and I'm really just liking how the Apocalypse twins are going about their plan. I'm curious to see where it goes.
I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 as well. I just, again, gotta say, I love how Remender ties it to Uncanny X-Force. It's almost like one long, continuous story, but at the same time, Remender has given the Uncanny Avengers, like, their own feel. It doesn't feel like a X-Force team. It's something new.
Thanks for watching B3 Comics' review of Uncanny Avengers number 9. Before we go, we have a question for you.
We want to know, what is your favorite Apocalypse story?
Leave your answers in the comments below, and like always, if you like what you see, give us a thumbs up.